The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Is Steve Kerr coming back? They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star three trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they played. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Malaysia Fawali, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
I don't know what he was doing taking step-back threes at the end of that regulation when he's got bigs on him and he should be driving to the hole.
It's already bad enough that I'm playing with all these NBA and D1 studs that are unstoppable, and I'm the worst one there, and I can still ball with them. But if I start calling fouls, they'll revoke my privileges. Like, I man up when I play with them.
Pharrell, Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on Sport.
It's Wednesday. It's hump day. Hour number 1 is down. Hour number 2 now officially underway right here on the SportsGrid Network, Sirius XM Channel 159. The Early Line is how we do it. It's Donnie right side. It's Joe Ranieri. The hottest topics, you know, we bring them all to your attention, and the energy is always high at this point. Crazy, crazy doings in the NBA. Top-seeded teams not performing. Key injuries that might impact series here. We have so much to talk about. We'll certainly get back to the NBA. But after 1 hour, Joe, the vibes are high, the feelings are good, the energy is sensational, and more hot topics on the way. The people out there watching, they got to love that. They got to love it.
Gotta love it, and it's getting good here. Second round of the playoffs in the NHL and the NBA, not to mention pretty good and exciting Major League Baseball games as we're at, a quarter through the season, 30% through at this point. So a lot still to look forward to here, Donnie.
Exactly. And it feels like football season every day. And every once in a while, you get information dropped into your lap like we got this morning, Joe Ranieri, on a major trade in the NFL. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys agree on compensation to trade George Pickens from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Dallas Cowboys. On the surface of it, it's a pretty crazy deal because it's basically, let's just call it a third-round pick that's going to exchange hands, a couple pick swaps in between. George Pickens is a really talented wide receiver. But as we all know in sports, they say, well, okay, this guy's really talented. He's young. We'll probably get another decade if he's really good. You got him for a third-round pick, which means two things come immediately into play, Joe. Number one, I want a new contract, and I want a lot of money. Number two, why did that organization didn't want to pay him and traded him for a third-round pick? Because we've watched George Pickens make sensational catches, unbelievable one-on-one catches. The ability to be a dominant number one wide receiver is probably in his toolbox. But the fact that he's on the move, which means, boy, he quit on the Steelers a couple times. He didn't feel like playing. Some odd storylines post-game here. The Steelers move on from Pickens. Let's start here before the compensation and what it means for the Cowboys. Why did the Pittsburgh Steelers, Joe, get rid of George Pickens?
Well, he's in the final year of his rookie contract, and they basically have not, shocker, they couldn't come to any sort of agreement, and Pittsburgh pretty much let everyone know that, yeah, we're open to trading him, which means, of course, whoever he gets traded to here in Dallas's situation they're going to have to figure out a way to be able to sign him to a long-term deal before he even steps foot for any games, I'm sure. That's what he'll do. But it was all about attitude with him, not talent. And again, if Pittsburgh could not reel him in, we're talking about a guy that on multiple occasions quit on his team, had shouting matches with fans, going after other players. Like, he's just a loose cannon. And he's got to grow up here a little bit. Otherwise, you're going to give a guy another contract, a very lucrative contract. And what? You're not going to be able to trust him to be able to stay relevant in the game. It's a tough spot here for Dallas, but Pittsburgh, they've seen him and know him better than anybody, Donnie, and they just wash their hands with him. That's what it tells me.
Yeah, you get DK Metcalf in town. So what was the immediate thoughts? Like, okay, DK's on one side and George Pickens is on the other. Now, all of a sudden, you say you have your formidable 1-2 combo, and that's like the big three in the NBA. Hey, join three guys together, win a championship. Maybe on its way out at this point, but it seems like right now, the big three, meaning superstar quarterback, two dominant wide receivers, you're on your way to doing dominant things in the NFL. It's like, oh, you know what? We don't know who the signal caller is going to be in. We just anticipate it's going to be Aaron Rodgers, who wants to go to the Kentucky Derby and go to Egypt and take ayahuasca and then show up at training camp, which is probably what's going to happen here. But understand this too, like, you had Pickens, but he was uncomfortable in his environment, which when Mike Tomlin typically gets rid of a young wide receiver, it's really worked out in the Steelers' favor in the past. So now they're doing it once again, saying, this kid's got all the talent in the world. I can't get through to him anymore. And he wants more money. And as Mike Tomlin says, right, we want volunteers, not hostages at this point. It seems like George Pickens was more of I feel like a hostage. I don't get the football. And if I don't get the football, I don't want to play football. You get the point of that. From the move for the Dallas Cowboys to get him, you sort of like it, though, because I always like to say, okay, what's the compensation? A third-round pick. If it really works out for George Pickens and he's a good wide receiver for the next 5 years, no matter what we pay him, that was pretty fair compensation. We got what we paid for. But also understand this. George Pickens believes, Joe Ranieri, he's the true number one wide receiver on his football team. He's nowhere near that on the Dallas Cowboys. And also, you do get excited at times where it's like, okay, CeeDee Lamb's like, hey, man, great. We got another good wide receiver coming to the team. I was a wide receiver in the past. Wide receivers are built differently here. They have a lot of fun when they're winning and catching the football. They don't have a lot of fun when they're winning and don't catch the football. So also, if you are George Pickens on a contract year, it's like, I want to be paid, you're not going to have statistics like CeeDee Lamb to get paid here. How does he move from the Steelers to the Cowboys and say, hey, I'm comfortable here, I'm just happy to be here, even though I'm nowhere near the number one?
And that's going to be the interesting part, right? And Pittsburgh, listen, didn't want to deal with it because it's not like Metcalf ain't a hothead either, right? So you already brought him in, and Pittsburgh's like, can you imagine these two not getting the ball and basically going after one another? So you get rid of Pickens, and now Dallas, okay, could it be Michael Irvin and Alvin Harper of the 90s? And absolutely, could be absolutely unbeatable, but it could also be a total disaster in the locker room. The question is, who's going to take this guy under his wing and try to reel him in here emotionally, because he's a train wreck, and I never like guys who quit on their team, and he did that a number of times in his first few years there in Pittsburgh.
It is crazy, too. And I saw he has like one of the fourth worst percentages of completions per passes his direction. Like, what did he catch 59 last year, but had like 100+ targets? It's like, hey, we understand we're going to throw the football for you to make catches, and you do make sensational catches. But, hey, man, you got to run. The one concept that wide receivers usually struggle with a lot, and particularly number ones, are sometimes when the play isn't designed for, like, you're the third option, it's up to you to run your route to take the safety out of play, to take the cornerback out of play, to take the linebacker out of play. And if you're not doing that, which he wasn't doing, the entire offense can break down at that point. Like, you truly have to be, yes, a number one wideout that gets the football, but be a team player when you know you're the route decoy and not the front end play here. And sometimes wide receivers are, why isn't that play coming to me at this point? George Pickens did a lot of that in Pittsburgh, but you see the statistics, you see the numbers and how talented he can be. And also understand this. He wasn't really in a true passing offense per se in Pittsburgh. It's like, hey, man, let's run 5 wides, get after it. You're going to have 100+ catches here. Let's see if he gets that type of action in Dallas, which he can. We're betting against it simply because CeeDee Lamb is the number one target there, and rightfully so. Let's switch teams here, because this isn't about, hey, let me get on the field and play good football. It's about jersey numbers. We're not asking about George Pickens, what jersey number he will be. But how about the Cleveland Browns? What jersey number will Shedeur Sanders be? Been number 2 his whole life. didn't get drafted number 2 overall, but comes in and goes, I guess I'll settle for 12. And it's not like number 2 is, Myles Garrett's number. Like, you have a veteran wide receiver that just joined the team here. And it's like, okay, I'll take 12. Are you surprised that Shedeur settled for number 12?
No, I mean, again, it's at this point, nothing is guaranteed to him. If there had been anything guaranteed to him, I can promise you he'd have made a stink about making sure he got number 2. But at this point, you got to know when to say when. So take your number and make the team, and then anything is possible from there. But right now he's got, what do they call it, Donnie? Leverage? He's got none.
Yeah, doesn't have too much leverage as a 5th-round pick, but also didn't stop somebody from their camp coming out to social media and saying like, oh, so now the Browns are going to draft him 5th and do him dirty and not let him get number 2.
Oh, yes.
Basically, hey, we see you. That tweet / social media post was deleted from his camp here. So, it wasn't just like, yeah, man, I'm happy with 12. Now they feel like not only they were wrong by the NFL, by the Cleveland Browns, now also by the Browns not getting drafted earlier, but by him having a different number that he should not have. Amazing times, people. You got to love to see it. Baseball's next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
I said we'd get right to Major League Baseball. Joe Ranieri, I lied, and I apologize to the people. But it's for good cause, though. Like, I don't lie just to say, you know what, let me make it harder on the people, and they don't want to watch the show. When hot topics come around that need to be talked about and have to find their place, this isn't something that just broke just a few minutes ago, but it came out yesterday. And let's start here, Joe. And it deals with horse racing. for the casual sports fan who just likes big events. And that's a lot of people out there. You know what? I don't really follow the NBA all that much during the regular season, but boy, I like the playoffs. I think it's pretty cool. The Stanley Cup, you know what? Going through those playoffs, I like to root on my team, but you know what? Once we get deeper into the rounds and watch the Stanley Cup finals, you can enjoy that. Not a huge football fan. I don't know, that's kind of crazy to me, but maybe you dip in for the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and it's a big event. Same thing with college sports, college basketball, and college football. But for horse racing, once a year we line up, and it's similar to golf. Like, hey, the Masters is on there. Hey, it's pretty cool. Let's watch it and tune in. But the Masters, once it's done, hard maybe to say, like, okay, let me sell you the PGA Championship and the British Open. Nah, I'm out. I just like the Masters. I like the golf course. It's always there. Horse racing, we understand this. Triple Crowns are hard to win. That is the Kentucky Derby. That's the Preakness, followed by the Belmont. The one thing that we usually have the luxury of, Joe Ranieri, is we all get excited because the bigness of the Kentucky Derby, the fashion, the horses we hear about for a couple weeks, we watch it play out in front of us. And there is a champion of the Kentucky Derby, which was Sovereignty. So immediately we go, all right, Preakness is on in a couple weeks. Can we have a Triple Crown contender that can at least make it to the Belmont? And yesterday, news came down that Sovereignty will skip the Preakness and now target the Belmont. So my question to you is this as we start here. If Sovereignty's goal is, hey, I want to win the Kentucky Derby, which is great, and for the owners, the trainers, you get it, and I just want to go off into the sunset and make money with stud fees, that's great. You shouldn't be, in my term, you should not be able to skip the Preakness and then parachute back into the Belmont and say, well, I won 2 of the legs at that point and make even more stud fees. If you are in it all the way through, like you can't even, Joe, for me, and I don't even know if correct me if this is a rule or not. Can you say, I'm not going to run in the Kentucky Derby, but I'm going to run in the Preakness? Can you actually do that?
Yeah, and yes, absolutely. You have to qualify for certain races. And listen, the problem, Donnie, is that, go back a couple of decades with the Alydars and the Secretariats and the way horse racing used to be is that these horses, when they got to the Kentucky Derby, had already raced 6 times in that year as a 3-year-old. It wasn't their second or third or just 4th race. These horses these days are not bred and they are not raced to be able to go through a race every 2 weeks, which is basically what you have to do. That's not what these horses have been bred to do anymore. It's basically either one and done, or I'll try 2 of the 3 legs, and we'll see how that goes. And listen, it could be a million reasons why, money, of course, being, I'm sure, at the top of the reason list, but there could be a million reasons why they don't want to go to the Preakness. It could be, maybe it's too much on the horse. Again, a horse that's run, 4 times, 5 times in his life, all of a sudden now is going to run 3 races in 5 weeks. I mean, you're asking a horse to do something, and it's much more risky these days to have a horse do that gauntlet there and expect him to be okay on the outside. Plus, the money's earned in bank. You won the Kentucky Derby. So if you're a horse that's bred for longer distances, which they must feel Sovereignty is, then, hey, 2 out of 3 legs, still a pretty good payday when it's all said and done. But you can't risk a horse if you don't think it's in its best interest in order to be able to race, because the Triple Crown is alive and well.
Yeah, because and I get that point too. It's like I'm not looking at this saying like, hey man, like we came up and the hoof is a little bit banged up here. He's got to skip a couple weeks. Everybody understands that from a human standpoint, right? Like nobody wants to put an animal in danger. But I just feel like it's turned into, let me just turn this loose because I know I have a guaranteed profit. And the only way I don't is, boy, and again, horses are bred differently now where they run races and they can get hurt. And it's not like a human being like, okay, I broke my leg, I'll just go rehab it for 3 weeks. Like a broken leg is like a death sentence for a horse at that point. And I get where they're trying to protect their investment. But how do we make this better? Like in the past, like there was a time, Joe, where heavyweight boxing was the king prize of the world and everybody would watch. And then it turned into a fallacy because they basically did it to themselves, rigging, shots here, avoiding fights, never getting the fights we want to see. We see all that stuff, and other sports do it as well. Like the NBA, there was a time where everybody played every game unless they were seriously injured. Now we don't do that. It's load management, which again takes a tax or toll off of the players. But for the fans, they don't like that in the regular season. Hey, primetime TNT tonight. Yeah, the 3 best players in the games aren't playing. Oh, are they injured? No. They just decided to take the night off, and away you go. How can horse racing make this better? Because I understand the old school thought process. The Triple Crown is supposed to be hard, and I get that. where it's like, you know what? You're going to have to race all the way through, and those are the parameters, which is why it doesn't happen every year. But if you're just talking about the health of a sport where you want to command interest, can we make changes by pushing the race back a week or two? Like, myself would be fine with it because I want to see Triple Crowns. I want to see the horses race in each race here. But is it just too much of the old school mentality? Nope. It's the way it's always been. It's never going to change. You just can't have a Triple Crown then.
Yeah, it will. The problem is, Donnie, is that it's not just one barn, one owner, one situation. Now you've got syndicates of people who own the horse and are involved and have a say into what happens with the horse these days. And, also you got to think if you don't like the track, if you don't think the horse can win it, then why are you entering it, right? I mean, that could be the other thing, too, is that if you don't think he can win it, you'd rather win the Belmont because you think he's actually bred to come from that kind of distance? I mean, it's the longest of all the races. Maybe that's the race you target. I just don't think they have enough confidence in the horse here at this point, given the circumstances, that they're going to go ahead and run him in a race that they don't feel he can win.
Like, just back in the day, being from like the Philadelphia area, Barbaro, Smarty Jones, like they captivated an entire region for like a month and a half.
They were good enough to win, though.
Fun. Yeah.
They were good enough to win.
Because when you sit back and say to yourself, like, oh my goodness, like this is so much fun. And yes, horse racing can make a rebirth. Like that's what drives the public interest. And I understand that the staunch people that say you can't change things up. It's the way it's always been. But if you want horse racing to survive, like the Triple Crown race is why people tune in to this point. And the more people involved, the more money you make, the more eyeballs on it. You can turn some of these horses into true superstars. It's just a shame we won't see that even in the Preakness. Baseball's up next. I promise you people. I'm not lying. It's next.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that rhythm. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Dr. Dre said at one time here, James Wood, always up to no good, man. I like a couple players in that lineup, man, on a day-to-day basis can really get after it. Again, playing good baseball, 15-19 overall. We'll see how they pursue.
The Reds. Reds are a really fun team. Reds are, we're going to talk about them a ton, and I don't think they'll compete for a wild card. But again, you're a team like the Nats where they're going to give other teams trouble at times, and they can't overlook that matchup. Cubs win the division, as we all expected.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Major League Baseball on our mind today. And by the way, a lot of afternoon action, which you love to see. Nobody hates afternoon Major League Baseball. It helps you get through your day. It's a hump day week, or hump day during the week. It's like, you know what? Let me get through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend. That you go. So we love Major League Baseball. We love to handicap it, and it starts in the Bronx tonight, Joe. And that's another game between the San Diego Padres and the New York Yankees. Dylan Cease on the mound versus the lefty Max Fried. This game will start at 7:05 tonight, and a favorite at -178 at the FanDuel Sportsbook at the opening number. You see that graphic at -174. It's bounced back to -178 live. A total with 8 across the board. We got a lot of runs from one direction yesterday in the Bronx. Are we going to see that again today? Your thoughts on the Padres and the Yankees today?
Well, I mean, I don't believe the Yankees have lost a Max Fried start yet, if I'm not mistaken there, right? So it's listen, there's a level of confidence. That was a good win last night. They had a big inning there. Wells with the grand slam is what did it in the 7th inning there. But they got hits from other guys, Bellinger and Volpe, and that's good because hitting is contagious. Dylan Cease usually starts the season slow, Donnie, and this is no exception this year. So I tend to lean towards Max Fried here once again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I would probably just forget about the bullpens, Donnie. Let's just take the first 5. Yeah. Are we going to get more runs or less runs? Because it feels like a pitcher's duel early in this one. So I'd look at the first 5 under here at 4 runs.
Yeah, take a look at Max Fried on the season here, Joe. 44 2/3 innings pitched, a 1.01 ERA, and a very manageable xFIP of 3.74. Then you take a look at Dylan Cease, who's a little bit backwards, right? You take a look at his 33 2/3 innings pitched, a 5.61 ERA, which is terrible, but his expected ERA out of that is only a 4.23, which drops to a 4.05 on his xFIP number. So I'm with you on that. I don't think the matchups are all that great on both sides here. It's always hard to take an under in Yankee Stadium. 68, 69 degrees at first pitch, light wind blowing out the center field. But I'm with you. If there's any way I'm betting in this game, it's probably going to be to the under. Do I think the Yankees win? Yes. But also, the Yankees aren't plus 100 today. Like, you're laying close to a minus 180 or so price on that team. We'll see if they can bounce back in that certain direction. But I'm in agreement with you on that side of it here. If we take a look at another game today, earlier at a 2:20 start, which means we're going to be in the windy city of Chicago. And anytime we lead with, Donnie, what's the total? It's 7. You know exactly the direction that wind is blowing, and it's in today. It's Robbie Ray. It's Brown here for the Chicago Cubs. Minus 142 at the opening number, minus 146 right now. As you see an elevation there, we see that card there at minus 136. It's on the move, but in a Cubs direction at 7. Robbie Ray versus Brown. What do we got today for you?
Well, the Giants, same thing like Yankees with Fried. The Giants have won all 7 of Robbie Ray's starts this season, and they're going to hope that they can get that roll in here as well, as they split the first 2 games of this series and ended up erupting in extra innings yesterday. And when you look at this, 23-14, 22-15, these 2 teams have been playing. Now, can you make the argument both are playing above their head? Well, both are winning games, and it looks like the Cubs are doing it more offensively, while the Giants are doing it with starting pitching and bullpen, and they have been dominant here. And again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I got the pitching edge with the Giants, I'm going to ride that, especially early in this game here. In the first 5, I'm going to back the Giants to have the lead heading into the 6th.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of Robbie Ray, and particularly to start the year. His xFIP numbers were really out of control. But when you take a look now, 38 1/3 innings pitched, a manageable ERA down to 3.05, and an xFIP number of 4.18. Those numbers were much, much higher just a few weeks previous here. We'll see what happens there. And again, Ben Brown on the mound for the Cubs, wind blowing in. We'll see how many runs we can actually get. Let's head back out to the desert for a 3:40 start. Afternoon baseball for the New York Mets. Look at the bounce back here against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Kodai Senga on the mound against Merrill Kelly. This line opened up as a slight favorite here, minus 124, minus 125 as a favorite to New York. Still sits there at that minus 125 or so range. A 9 across the board. I like the under yesterday. That came in. Senga and Kelly on the mound here, afternoon style out for the D-backs.
And we just kind of saw this, didn't we? Like a week ago, like the Arizona ended up winning the series there at Citi Field. Now they have an opportunity to do the same thing here, and I like Merrill Kelly at home in this spot here. I do think I believe they're opening the roof for this one, Donnie. And if that's the case, I would tend to lean towards the over. If not, I still think we're going to get a bit of a pitcher's battle early in this one. So I'd look towards Arizona having to lead early and often in this one.
Roof information from May 7th. It will be closed, Joe Ranieri. Boo! Let the heat in there. More Major League Baseball next.
Vegas knows how to show love to our everyday heroes. So if you're a first responder, you are in for some perks. Lots of hotels and casino offer big discounts to any first responders who can show valid work or volunteer ID. So treat yourself to a discounted stay. You deserve it. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Under him was Sharon Moore, who also participated in the cheating scandal with Connor Stallions. So you know what happens to him? He doesn't lose his job. He doesn't get a 10-year show cause. He gets to keep his job, and they go, we're just going to suspend you for 2 games next season.
Now, all of a sudden, they're coming out with everything that we knew to be pretty much true when it was happening. Yeah, they were cheating. It was like Belichick and the videotapes, right?
The early line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Instead of Paul Skeens, it's Hunter Green Day on the mound today. How do you like that? The Cincinnati Reds taking on the Athletics out there in Sacramento. A 7 o'clock start time tonight. And if you look at these numbers, Joe Ranieri, roughly a pick-em across the board. And also, Atlanta. Let's say the A's at that point. Boy, I wish we were out there with the A's in Sacramento for this game. Get some runs. But we are down in Atlanta, 7 o'clock start tonight. 8 to 7.5, depending on where you're shopping at right now. It's into the FanDuel Sportsbook at 8 runs here. And roughly a pick-em. I like my guy, Hunter Green. You take a look at him on the season so far, Joe, 42 2/3 innings pitched. How about a 2.53 ERA and a 3.10 xFIP number? I'm going Reds today. I'm painting the town red, Joe.
Yeah, well, they're going to need their ace at this point in order to stop a 4-game losing streak, which, once again, the bats go MIA for this team with the Reds. They are so Jekyll and Hyde this season. It's crazy. They can go some games where they'll put up double-digit runs, and then they go 2 or 3 games where they can't hit water if they fell out of a boat. So couldn't do it last night. And I believe Holmes is going for Atlanta. Yeah. And quietly, as a guy that they have to throw in there as a 4th or 5th starter because of injuries, he's actually done a great job for them and has not been terrible like you would have thought. So, yes, Hunter Green, to me, has to win this game. I expect him to be pretty good, but the bullpens get involved here. I don't trust Cincinnati. I think Atlanta ends up winning this game. And at that price, why not? It's worth a shot here with the home team.
See if they can bust out the bats today. Now we can get to the good times here at the A's in Sacramento. The only problem is you see the total across the board at the FanDuel Sportsbook. It's 9. You like to see that. Heavy favorite for Seattle. Hogland's going to be on the mound, who has 6 innings pitched on the season, a 1.50 ERA and a 1.93 xFIP number. Hard to extrapolate what those numbers will be over the length of a season, but a good start nonetheless. But you're going up against Brian Wu. 38 and a third innings pitched here for Seattle, a 2.58 ERA and a 3.50 xFIP, which if you're looking on the card between 30 pitchers, Brian Wu is number 4 on the card today. Gunnar Hoglund is number 1, but again, only 6 innings pitched. Could we have a pitching duel in Sacramento in the afternoon, Joe?
Oh, well, it's interesting because the Mariners lineup, I believe, averaging, almost 6 runs a game on the road. I mean, they've been raking on the road. Brian Wu's been outstanding. What else can you say? I mean, when Logan Gilbert went down, he's kind of become the ace of that staff. But they're playing in a ballpark that has seen the overhit in 10 of the 16 games that have been played there. So it's kind of hard to hope for pitching battle. And Hoglund looked the part, but he played the Marlins. Does that change in this ballpark here? I'd be looking towards the over in this one, as both bullpens have gotten work the last couple of days as well.
It's hard, man. It's hard to take unders. It really is hard to take unders in Sacramento, which is a great thing here. So, again, look at the 2 ballparks here that we're out of, like Tampa Bay. So refreshing to see runs in Tampa now. So refreshing to see runs, which used to be in Oakland, which was terrible. Now we're in Sacramento. Fantastic stuff. Absolutely love to see it. Yesterday, if you're a Rangers fan, you love to see Eovaldi return back to Boston, have a great performance. Can you get back-to-back great performances? We'll find out. A 6:45 start tonight between the Rangers and the Red Sox. It's Molly versus Houck. Opening number, minus 136. That's down now, as you see the graphic at minus 126. A total, though, we're expecting runs tonight, Joe, 9.5. Here's the issue that you might have. You look at Molly and say, okay, 1.19 ERA, sensational through 37 and 2/3 innings pitched, and a manageable xFIP number. We'll take a look then at Tanner Houck, who's not far behind with xFIP numbers, but he's got a 6.38 ERA, but that doesn't compare. His expected ERA, 4.58, and an xFIP number of 3.95. Will the real Tanner Houck please stand up? Will it be today? They're a favorite, but the money looks like it's starting to come in on Texas.
Well, we mentioned earlier, we loved Eovaldi. We loved Texas in the game last night because I do think the bats are waking up for Texas in this spot here. Boston is kind of reeling here. Why? Well, their bullpen is a hot mess as well there, Donnie. Not great, but you got to dive into the numbers with Houck because he had 1 start against the Tampa Bay Rays where he gave up 12 runs, which has thrown everything out of whack there. But he has been very good at Fenway, 2.13 ERA at home this year. If it was, you throw that one outing against the Rays away, and his numbers are every bit as good as Tyler Mahle's. Now, is that sustainable? I don't think he's actually given up a home run through 7 starts, Tyler Mahle. Is that going to change today? Look at that total, 9.5. Yeah. It's a first 5 under for me. I think this is an early pitcher's battle here.
Yeah, let me see what we got here because that 9.5. Let me just get a peek at these weather conditions. 70 degrees at first pitch, wind blowing dead out to center field, about 8 to 9 miles per hour. So that could make a difference tonight. Get the ball in the air in Fenway. Leave the ball in the air with some home runs. That's what we want to see. Home runs were good last night to the Philadelphia Phillies. They're going to take on Tampa once again tonight in game number 2 of that set. On the mound today, Christopher Sanchez, the left-handed pitcher, going up against Shane Baz, the right-handed pitcher for the Rays. 7:05 start. The Phillies are the favorite. Open up as a minus 134 favorite. As you see that graphic, it's down slightly, Joe, to minus 126. A total on the board here that we're listing at is at 8.5 at the opening number, still sits at 8.5. Some outlets have actually moved to 8. Christopher Sanchez on the card today out of 30 pitchers with xFIP numbers. And if you remove Gunnar Hoglund, who only has 6 innings pitched, Christopher Sanchez, the best on the board at a 2.93. Shane Baz isn't a bad pitcher either. An ERA manageable at 3.86, but a 3.95 xFIP number is decent here. Are we looking for more of the same for the Philadelphia Phillies in a win? I actually thought yesterday, Joe, that game would stay under the total. You had a very good start out of Zach Wheeler in that game, but the Phillies bats really woke up in that small ballpark with some of that heat and humidity.
And he's been actually really good. He's averaging, 9 strikeouts. He's only given up, he only averages 1 home run allowed per 9 innings, this being Shane Baz, especially in that Little League ballpark. But correct me if I'm wrong here, Donnie. Christopher Sanchez is a guy we want to put our money on when he pitches in Philadelphia. But if I'm not mistaken, when he gets on the road, he's a hot mess here. So that's the problem that I have backing Philadelphia in this spot. Plus the Tampa bullpen advantage there for them. They have been absolutely outstanding for them. But I kind of agree with the move to the under. If you get Christopher Sanchez, the home version for the Phillies, I don't think there's going to be a ton of runs in this game.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I thought it was an under yesterday. It didn't turn out to be. But if I'm leaning again towards Donnie, which way would you go, higher or lower in this game? Certainly, I would go under the total as well. We'll see if that works out. 1 o'clock start this afternoon from Milwaukee. Don't have to worry about any weather conditions, again, because Milwaukee is a dome. Valdez versus Priester. Priester's one of the guys that I do like to fade. That total opened up at 8, but actually dropped to 7.5. The side as a favorite at minus 136 at the opening number. And you see on the graphic on your TV, slightly lower at minus 134. There is a pitching mismatch here because Priester's got 23 and a third innings pitched on the season, Joe. 5.8 ERA, 5.05 xFIP number. And if we roll down to Framber Valdez, number 6 on the card today, through 41 innings pitched on the season, and a very manageable 3.63 xFIP number. For me, it's Houston or nobody in this game.
Yeah, it's kind of hard because Houston has not been good, especially on the road. And they have never played well, by the way. I don't think they have won a series in Milwaukee in a very, very long time. And Milwaukee scored 4 runs in the first inning last night, and that was all they needed because they didn't score a run for the rest of the game, and Houston could not tie it up there late. So it feels like 7.5 is the right number. Framber or nobody, right? Well, it's an under or nothing for me in this game as well.
Now, will you be making a trip over to Lone Depot Park to be checking out Knack versus our guy Belotso on the mound today as a monster favorite for the Dodgers, looking for a bounce back today, Joe? Monstrous.
Yeah, they're looking for a bounce back here. And can we go alternate line and lay 3 runs? Is that at plus money? Because that's what I think I would do here. I think the Dodgers roll in this one here against Miami.
Now, can you go to like McDonald's in South Florida, like buy a Big Mac and get 2 free tickets to the Marlins? Like, do they do those giveaways these days down there? Are they just like, you know what? The ballpark is more aesthetically pleasing, Joe Ranieri, when nobody shows up and you can get the true ambiance of that beautiful building at this point. We'll find out. But you know what else we got to find out? NHL. Pete Jensen coming up next. Stay tuned.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that ring. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5 points live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Dr. Dre said at one time here, James Wood, always up to no good, man. I like a couple players in that lineup, man, on a day-to-day basis can really get after it. Again, playing good baseball, 15 and 19 overall. We'll see how they pursue.
The Reds are a really fun team. Reds are, we're going to talk about them a ton, and I don't think they'll compete for a wild card. But again, they're a team like the Nats where they're going to give other teams trouble at times, and they can't overlook that matchup. Cubs win the division, as we all expected.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star 3 trio is, they can make the guys around them better, and they can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Rolling along in hour number 2, the hot topics never stop here. Every sport we got you covered, even horse racing we're experts at this point now. This is what you get on the early line. It's Donnie Wright said, it's Joe Ranieri. We welcome in Pete Jensen of the NHL.com. I love to get this time and this breakdown, Pete. Let's have some fun with the NHL. How are we feeling this morning?
Feeling good coming off that weekend with the 2 Game 7 comebacks. I mean, it just seems like every time we talk, every other week, there's something major going on in hockey this year between 4 nations and the Ovechkin great chase. The stretch run was great. The playoffs have not had any major upsets, let's say, but I think that a lot of people were surprised that Dallas came back to beat Colorado in that game, considering they were playing the whole series without 2 of their best players, Jason Robertson and Miro Heiskanen. Good chance they get one or both of those guys back for the second round, and they meet the Winnipeg Jets guys that had a shocker of their own on home ice to come back, and the buzzer beater by Perfetti and then winning it in double overtime. That was an epic win for the Winnipeg Jets over the weekend too.
Hockey's been good, man. The toughest tournament, the toughest trophy to win is the Stanley Cup. As we now enter into round number 2, doubleheader last night, the Hurricanes and the Capitals, the Oilers and the Golden Knights. We'll focus here first. An overtime victory in game number 1 for the Hurricanes, 2-1 last night. Defensive struggle. How did this game play out? And was it any surprise, Pete, on the end of it, that it was the Hurricanes taking game number 1?
So going into this series, we knew that the goaltending was stingy on both ends of the ice, you know, whether you're talking about Washington making quick work of Montreal in surprising fashion in the first round. I thought Montreal could have maybe pulled the upset, but they just had amazing goaltending from Logan Thompson. And then on the other side, you always have that structured possession dominant style of the Carolina Hurricanes. But coming into the series, there was some injury concern surrounding Freddie Anderson. Game 1 went in the way of the Hurricanes in terms of the shots on goal, heavy advantage for them. That's not surprising at all. But for Carolina to finish the job and win that Game 1 on the road in an overtime fashion, I think can show everybody that, hey, this is not going to be what the regular season was, which was a dominant performance by the Washington Capitals. The better possession team historically this year, this first game, is the Carolina Hurricanes. If they could finish on some of these chances with some of the young players in their lineup, like Stankoven scored another goal in Game 1. He's been a stud this postseason. Carolina could easily get to the conference final. I wouldn't be surprised by that based on Game 1.
Yeah, it was, and Frederick Anderson also in goal for them. And what is that? I mean, that was always the biggest question mark, right? With Carolina, what were we going to get at a goal with them? Because we know we're going to get a ton of shots and a ton of possessions, but what about the goaltending here moving forward with Carolina?
Well, I mean, I've always kind of been a Freddie Anderson apologist, I guess you could say. The guy has a 915 save percentage in 77 career NHL games. You look at how many goalies have done that in NHL history, it's a short list. Like 15 or fewer goalies have done that. And the names on that list are ridiculous. It's like Brodeur, Patrick Waugh, Dominik Hasek. I mean, the guy's never won the cup before, but I personally think he's a good enough goalie to get it done one of these years if he could get a helping hand from some of his teammates. And I think that Carolina system, you know, just is conducive to him. If he stays healthy, he's a good enough goalie to get them over the top one of these years. He's had past struggles, of course, with the Hurricanes last year, kind of blew it in the series against the Rangers after they came back and, you know, gave up a couple of weak goals in that Game 6 when they lost. He's played a lot of playoff hockey for the Maple Leafs and the Anaheim Ducks through the years. One of these years, Freddie's going to get it done, I think. And I at least won't be surprised by it.
I'll tell you what's surprising right now is the best attack point for the Edmonton Oilers, just to let them get out to a really good couple goal lead, and then you chase them down, because the Edmonton Oilers are very comfortable when they're behind in the game. A 4-2 victory over the Golden Knights on the road, which saw the Oilers get down 2-0, and then 4 straight goals from the Edmonton Oilers to win game number 1. The road teams last night had some pretty good performances, Pete.
Yeah, and how about these live line Edmonton Oilers, you could call them? 5 comeback victories in their first 5. They won 4 straight to beat the LA Kings. They are wrecking some teams that are very structured in the Los Angeles Kings and now the Vegas Golden Knights. This series is far from over. Again, I think Vegas is the deeper, more structured possession team, but Edmonton's a good possession team too. The difference is they bring a lot of chaos in different situations. They're experienced in the postseason, and they're one of those teams, guys, that we look for every year. We try to pinpoint them. Which team is going to flip the switch? Sometimes it's, cap situation and stuff like that. But in this case, they got Evander Kane back in the first round. He brings some physicality, the shots on goal volume, a secondary scorer. They've gotten production from Connor Brown, who's been a stud this playoff. And, the past year or two, Connor Brown has done almost nothing for the Oilers. So all this combination, Jake Wallman healthy, Ekholm's still out for them. But injuries were the big concern coming in. But right now, they're peaking at the right time and showing us that maybe they were saving their best for last here after a pretty mediocre regular season.
Gotta love it here. And Aiden Hill, not a great night last night, but Edmonton dominated that entire game, Pete. I mean, they were the deserved winner. They didn't dominate against the Kings in those comebacks, but they absolutely dominated Vegas last night.
Yeah, it's a tough one for the Kings to swallow for sure. The Kings outplayed them, made a couple of mistakes in the clutch, of course. That one by Byfield, we remember, that, will haunt a really good young player. He'll overcome that in the future. But yeah, I think some organizational changes have been made in LA already, and they'll try to go back to the drawing board. But that's tough, man. 4 straight years losing to the Oilers in the first round, and this one felt closer than ever compared to the other 3. But I think that no matter how good the goalie is, Kemper was great in the regular season, Vezina finalist. Edmonton came back on them. Edmonton has some sneaky depth. Even a guy like Corey Perry that's been through the rigors all through the years with so many different teams and deep playoff runs. Corey Perry's playing a lot of top-line minutes this year and has been productive. Maybe look at him in the props market moving forward for the rest of the postseason.
Double header tonight, which we'll talk about again. The Jets and the Stars open up their series. The Maple Leafs and the Panthers. Much more talk with Pete Jensen of NHL.com on the way next on the Early Line.
New to social casinos? You're in for a treat. Most online casinos offer bonus cash or coins just for signing up. That's your own little participation trophy. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
Rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Dr. Dre said at one time here, James Wood, always up to no good, man. I like a couple players in that lineup, man, on a day-to-day basis can really get after it. Again, playing good baseball, 15-19 overall. We'll see how they pursue.
The Reds. Reds are a really fun team. Reds are important. Talk about them a ton, and I don't think they'll compete for a wild card. But again, they're a team like the Nats where they're going to give other teams trouble at times, and they can't overlook that matchup. Cubs win the division, as we all expected.
Pro baseball today, only on SportsGrid.
The Warriors' future was uncertain. Are they going to break it up? Steve Kerr coming back. They get Jimmy Butler, and they surge all the way through, and now they're through the first round.
The Warriors have guys, because of how special their star 3 trio is, they can make the guys around them better. They can elevate the way that they play. And we saw that. Steph Curry, 3 points in the first half, steps up in the second half, 19 points in the second half to carry them home.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's re-rack the Stanley Cup Playoff Round 2 odds here, and particularly with the FanDuel Sportsbook. The Hurricanes with a 1-0 series lead against the Capitals, a minus 420 price. If you like the dog price here, it's a plus 320. The Maple Leafs, a minus 113 price, going up against the Panthers, who are at a minus 106. The Oilers, we just talked about, won game number 1 against the Golden Knights, now a commanding series lead at a minus 225 favorite and a plus 184. And then the Stars and the Jets, which will get underway tonight. The Stars are the favorite at minus 182. The Jets dog price at a plus 150. Anything picked out here, Pete, from those odds here for these series that might come to our attention?
I mean, I think that the Jets are definitely being underestimated, but I think it's a mismatch in Dallas's favor. The only thing that maybe could slow down the Stars over time is injuries, but like I said, they played all of last round without Robertson and Heiskanen, and they could get one or both of them back. So maybe if the series is showing the wear and tear that the Stars went through in their epic series win against the Avalanche, you could jump on the Jets at that time, especially if they, say, drop game 1. But they also have home ice in the series. When the Jets are at home, Connor Hellebuck has been great. When the Jets are on the road, he's been terrible this postseason. So he'll need to be better. I still believe that Dallas will steal 1 in Winnipeg, and I think that they'll have to do the same down in Big D. So Hellebuck's going to have to be much better in order for them to do that. So that's what I'm kind of looking at. So far this postseason, Ottinger has been much better than Connor Hellebuck, which is a little bit surprising, I think.
Yeah.
These totals are interesting too here. Let's look at game 2 at Florida and Toronto. That's the early game tonight, 7:00, Pete. 5.5 here. We got an over in the first one. And really, it was Florida lost the first period, then won the second and third. They just started a little bit late, but it feels like some of these totals, are we going to get more like what we saw last night in the 2-1 overtime, or are we still going to get a ton of goals moving forward in some of these series?
I think as that series, Toronto and Florida, gets later in the game, you'll see maybe some lower games and some tighter checking hockey and high pressure, especially on the Maple Leafs side. But what a nice performance by Toronto. Even with their goalie Stolarz getting banged up, they went 0-4 on the power play, which is their bread and butter, and they still scored 5 goals to beat the defending champs. So maybe that's a sign. And they got some defenseman contributions as well, which is something that I was worried about comparing them to Florida coming into the series. So maybe this year is different for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have Stolarz. They have Joseph Woll if they need to turn to him again in the postseason. Craig Berube's a past Stanley Cup winning coach from the St. Louis Blues in 2019. I liked that move in the offseason the second it happened. I wasn't sure if they would be able to lock it down defensively like they have, but they've shown the ability to win games in many different ways. I'm still picking Florida to win the series, but game 1 was a big statement that this series is going to go very deep, I think, probably 6 or 7, and Toronto is going to give the Panthers everything they could handle across the board.
Game number 2 tonight, Pete. You got Dallas and Winnipeg. Ottinger going up against Hellebuck, and you want to talk about escaping from the jaws of a loss. That's what Winnipeg did, scoring with 1 second left and then winning a game in double overtime. They'll line up against the Stars, a 5.5 total, and a slight favorite now for Dallas on the road as opposed to Winnipeg here.
Yeah, a lot of guys to keep an eye on in this series. There's certainly Mikko Rantanen, who has 11 points in his past 3 games, leading the entire first round, tied with Kyle Connor for the most points. But what he did against his former team was legendary, to say the least. And you see him already here, only behind McDavid pretty much in the Conn Smythe rankings, you would say, based on the odds. And he deserves to be there. I mean, he couldn't have scripted it any better for him after being traded twice earlier in the season. And he would benefit from Robertson coming back because they play on the same line with Rupe Hintz. So, keep an eye on maybe a multi-point game to come. I think you can get pretty good odds on Rantanen to score a goal tonight to keep the momentum going. And then on Winnipeg's side, Neil Pionk, if Morrissey's banged up, he's going to continue to get involved in the offense. He had the highest total skating distance in a single game in that double overtime win for Winnipeg of any player in the postseason so far. I know it was a double overtime game, but he was filling in for one of the best defensemen in the league, Josh Morrissey, in that game. So major props to what he was able to do with Winnipeg playing that game, most of it with 5 defenders.
Should be a lot of fun to watch it play out at this point here. We do want to thank Pete for joining us this morning. The NHL awards market here, it actually has 2 Oilers up top. Connor McDavid at a 7-1 price here at the FanDuel Sportsbook, and Leon Draisaitl at an 11-1 price point to win that Conn Smythe. Pete, thanks for checking in with us, giving us the ice advice this morning on the early line. Much more topics in hour number 3 next on the early line.